you for being here. Thanks for joining us for our program. My name is Lauren Williams, and I'm Adult and Community Services Manager for the Columbia Public Library. And in pre-pandemic times, we had our resident genealogist, Tim Dollens, do monthly genealogy programs, and he traveled to our different branches to do drop-in genealogy help. So while the online environment is not exactly the same, we are pleased that he is able to provide some of the programs via Zoom on researching our family histories. And today he'll be sharing a couple of what he considers to be the top free websites for genealogists, focusing on Familysearch and the Bureau of Land Management. So he'll give us a brief tour overview of both of those. Before I turn things over to Tim, just a little bit of Zoom housekeeping. We are recording this session today for later viewing. On the recording, nobody's videos will be shown. It's just going to be the slides and the speaker view of Tim. We do want questions, so this is an interactive session. So if you have questions for Tim, you can put those in the chat, or you can unmute your microphone and ask those questions. But we ask when you're not speaking or asking a question that you keep those microphones muted. There are tools at the bottom of your Zoom screen. That chat bubble is down there, and then the microphone to mute and unmute is there as well. So Tim Dollens is a library associate, and he is a 3-term past president of the Genealogical Society of Boone County in Central Missouri. He's the 2-term past president of Missouri State Genealogical Association. So he's been doing genealogy research for over 40 years and is well experienced. So I will have Tim take it away.
All right, everybody. First, thanks for joining in on a nice spring day. At least the sun is kind of trying to shine in. The two websites I want to talk about today are free websites, and I'm just going to like barely touch on them because as you mostly know, most of these websites, you need to actually log into them and use them to learn all the changes, because they change every 3 or 4 years, the format. But if you don't use the website, it's not going to be of use to you. And so I want to just get you familiar with what they offer and what you can find on them, and why you want to go to these websites. The first one is Familysearch.org, and the second one is Bureau of Land Management, General Land Office. Obviously, the first one, Familysearch.org, is affiliated with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. It's their website that they maintain for people around the world for free. You can search it, but more importantly, you should probably go ahead and log and get your own account. You don't have to be a member of the church to use the website, but I will tell you that if you don't use this website, you're missing out on a whole lot of records that you would otherwise probably not find information on your family, because they are the largest free website in the world, and they keep growing because they keep extracting documents from original documents. And then as their members grow, their members keep adding documents from their own personal files and then from their research on their own families that you will have access to on this website. But what you see on the screen right now is basically the home screen. I've already logged in as myself, and it's easy to create an account. And if you need help, I can show you that later. But if you just type in Familysearch.org, it'll come to the screen and just do search, or just go to sign in or create an account, and they will walk you through it. Right now I'm at a screen where you can do a basic search on all of the tabs on their website. But before I go and type in someone's name, I want to distinguish between records and genealogies or family tree. So records, when you go to records, it's actual records that you're going to.
I've got it, but I don't have any.
Perhaps, official records. Maybe it's a church record. Maybe it's a court record or a civil record. When you get into genealogies, that could be submitted records. That could be somewhere someone submitted their own family tree, and they've put it on there. But yet, it's not necessarily anything that. You can look at their source data and look for the records that you believe to be true and correct. And you should always, when you find something on here, you should always look for it in other records to prove and verify whether it definitely is your line. They are going to great detail now to clean up a whole bunch of submitted genealogies from the last 40 or 50 years that in some ways, because records weren't available, are inaccurate, but they get better every year. And for you not to use this website would be a disservice if you really want to do some fun research. And like I said, you're going to find things that you never would imagine. And like people are always joining in and putting their data on here. You could actually store your data on here for free too. And I'm going to show you some of those examples when you get to my tree. But let's just go ahead and do some more. I'm going to talk about all the tabs first, and then we're going to go into a little bit of research. So obviously they have a large collection in their books. So if you're wanting a book that's not necessarily been digitized or scanned, there are also libraries around the country that you could actually go do research. You see this first little icon says the Family History Library. That's located in Salt Lake City, just west of Temple Square. And I've been there 8 or 9 times. I'll be going there in a month, just for a day or two with my sister. But that's where you will get all kinds of information on your family. Everything is housed there, all the microfilms, all the backups are stored in vaults around the area deep in the mountains. But this is the Family History Library in Salt Lake City. I will tell you that most of their stuff is online. And if you go to libraries, believe it or not, in Missouri, there's a library in Missouri that has a genealogical collection called the Midwest Genealogy Center. And it's located in Independence, Missouri. And you should go there to do research on a lot of your ancestry. And they actually have a lot of the records. Instead of going to like for instance, you could go to the local stake library here in town over off of in the Highlands and use their library, but they're not open very often. And of course, for COVID, I'm not sure if they're open right now. But you could go do searching for the some of the records that you'd find at a family history center actually in Independence, and they just got reopened, and they're now open what I call normal library hours. So you could actually go there and spend some time there. But because of COVID, you should call there. But you could certainly get access to their whole records that you wouldn't necessarily get on the website that are only in Salt Lake City, like records that are on microfilm because they have a contract agreement that you can't see them unless you're in one of their libraries or facilities. But do go to the Midwest Genealogy Center Independence. You could also search their digital library and see if it's there. You see how you can go counties. You can search by all kinds of topics. You can search by location, surname. But I don't want to get into this right now because we're not going to have time. But I do want you to know that there are local family history library centers around. There's one in Columbia, but there's more hours for the one at this public library in Independence. Hopefully that's not too confusing. The other thing I was going to tell you about is there's lots of genealogies through Familysearch where people have submitted them. This right here, you can see everything here is the sources. And you can also submit your own family tree once you become a member. And then all of these little bitty websites are partners with them are what they have in their collection. So you could actually find information on one of your family members and see it in one of these other community trees or in an ancestral file or the International Genealogical Index. All these things that they've done over the last 60 or 70 years that are now on a digital format instead of going to the physical library and looking for a book or a roll of microfilm. But do not overlook these genealogies because you might find one that you're looking for. I just typed in the last name Israel, which is my mom's maiden name, and I just put in the last name, but you see all these Isgrig names popping up on different sources. And then it might tell you who the parent is. Like Michael Isgrig is my direct ancestor born 1751 in Baltimore, Maryland. But look at the beautiful trees that people have submitted. This gives you information on each different family member. If I click on Michael right here, I can click on children. If this source had children, if I go over to William Isgrig and Hannah Woolsey, click on this, it says Michael's their son. But this is just only one source. There could be a source here that is not here on a different entry. And over to the right over here, you'll see where it says more information about Michael. I don't know if you can see it or not, but it talks about his birth, his death, who his parents are, and then the source data. Don't overlook the source data And then it also the submission ID. And that submission ID is going to tell you whether it's an LD, a member of the church doing their own research, or if it's from a database. But all of these things at least tell you where the source is for citing it and how to cite it. And then of course you could also click on someone else in this this website to look at and see what they have. Now there's actually more on this, but this record here basically is where they've gone through, and because there's no descendants, they have a record where someone has charted something, and they've mentioned that a Michael Isgrig is the son of a William and a Hannah Woolsey Isgrig, and that's the source. And so I can match up to Michael Isgrig on some other websites and some other sites here, but it's mentioned that these three members are related, so you could actually find the link on someone that you are kin to. Now, family tree is the actual part where people who are members belong to the, who have put their trees on here and have submitted their information on here. And because I'm a member, I have my stuff in here, and so do some of my cousins. So like right here, this Raymond Frederick Isgrig is my uncle, but this Frederick William Isgrig here is my grandfather. So if I click on Frederick William Isgrig right here, there's a picture of him that someone in my family has submitted. Birth date, death date. I can click down here on to see the trees or person, but the information I have on him is all right here. And then we know his father is Hiram Isgrig. I can click on it. It tells me where to go from there for some more information. And then it's going to give me a connection. And if you look at these little bitty numbers underneath here, this is going to lead you to the person who is entering the data. Let's see. It's not showing it here, but either, I mean, the idea is that you have a source data for the information you've got. And of course, if this person's in your family, you can just, you'll know you've got some stuff to look at. I'm going to right now click on the tree. So this is where someone in my family, this is my tree where I've put down the names of Frederick's parents and grandparents and who his wife is, and then his children. There's my mother. And then it looks like someone's in my mother twice. I don't know why. But then there's so sometimes there's twice the same name because two people have made the same tree, and they've you see where someone thinks my mom is deceased. That's not the case, but that's Dorothy. That's my mother. They probably pulled her name off of the census of 1930 and added her in there. But you see how there's, you can get the tree. You can also click on somebody and get their data and more information on that person. You can also see the sources. Like on this Edward Dean, here's all the sources that they pulled on this Edward Dean, my direct ancestor, and where he was mentioned in various records from census records and the dates. So this is kind of a cool way for you to search for individuals that in your family tree that you don't know much about, but also search for new leads that might get you to some more sources. Now you see all these people on the right, that's the names of the people who've submitted this and put this in the tree. So Familysearch did this this marriage to Edward Dean to his wife. It's through an actual record they've extracted. And this is an extracted record. And it tells you on the side, it says Ohio marriages 1800 to 1958. So there's Edward Dean marrying his wife Comfort Dean, which is not a relative, but they both have the last same name, and being married December 3rd, 1824 in Hamilton County, Ohio. So right there, you've got them in a time and a place. And then if you keep going to, you hit the back button, you go to the other sources about him, you're going to pull more sources. But this is just a fun way for you to find more information about your common ancestor for free at home. Doesn't matter what the weather is. You can be in your pajamas. You can find all kinds of cool stuff. And then people submit stuff all the time. This is people who actually are members, and you have to be a member to submit it. So if you're not a member, you just want to browse, you can browse all you want. But in order to submit stuff, you're going to have to be a member. But again, there's no membership cost. Okay, so let's just go look at an overview real quick here. This is the actual homepage you will see when you get to their website. And this kind of explains what they're about and why they do what they do, why they share it. And then I'm not going to go through all this. I just want you to know that when you go to this website and see this where it says overview, this explains anything and everything about this website. Again, I don't want to go through all this because if I go through all this, I want to eat away time of things I want to show you that are kind of cool examples of what to find. You can also buy, I don't know if you know, if you look at these tabs up here on the upper right-hand screen here, we can do the tree again, which basically is just like this, or I can do there's just so many choices on each screen because you're on a visual computer screen. You can do family lines, you can do the birth country and just highlight them. You can hit sources, and where there's sources listed, you see where it's highlighted, and you can click on that, and it tells you there's 12 sources for John Willie Imlek Isgrig. You can do photos. Now, there's no photos submitted on this one perhaps. And then they've also got where there are research helps. And like we don't know who Susanna's parents' names are, but we just know that she died after 1853, and this mentions various things right here, and she's mentioned in the probate of her husband. Of her husband in 1840s, and then 1840 she's listed the head of the household, 1830s, and so that's where her source is. And this Christopher L. Koch has submitted that information. So again, always look for information that's on your ancestor. It's going to be some really cool stuff. You can also see those recent searches. So if you became a member and you're looking at this, you can just go through what you've searched on more recently, as opposed to something years ago. You can say, well, oh, I was looking on this family recently. I can go look at this person again. You can always add a person. You can edit this down, get rid of it, etc. But if you're working on someone more recently, you can just go over to the recents and just look for what your recent research is. You can also, what's kind of cool is what they call following. And I love this because today someone had deleted part of one of my relatives' information because the great great grandfather had a grandson named for him, and they deleted him because they thought it was the same person. No, it's not the same person. It's a grandfather, and his grandson has the same name as him, but obviously different birth and death dates. Well, now I put down that I'm a follower. So whenever time someone enters data on this William G. Yates family, I'm going to be popped up as a follower. So I can actually follow when someone, if I log in like a month from now and someone's entered data or done searching on my Yates family, I can actually follow any updates that might come up that someone else has entered into the database. And again, this is a cool way of seeing who else is working on your family history that's current. And it also helps you might find something new that just came out, some record that just was downloaded or uploaded into their database that might help you find a missing link. So again, you should always look for these. Obviously, that's me, Timothy Dollens. That's my name on this. And then April 21st is today, the day I looked it up. And so I restored my Samuel Ford Yates. And then if you go look on Samuel Ford Yates, it gives you all his data. Let's see if I can show this camera.
Tim, we had a question. When you say become a member, that just means you need to create an account, correct?
Yes, create your own account so you can log in. But again, you don't have to create an account to do the searching. You can search all you want. But if you want to add stuff or correct stuff or change stuff, then you need to become a member to do that. You're not going to be able to offer anything else in there unless you actually become a member. Now, you see all these search for records over here. These are some of the databases that people belong to that you're going to see in these files. So let's say, like Find My Past is generally like what I call United Kingdom. They're really big on United Kingdom area. So if you have a lot of English or British ancestry or United Kingdom, you might find a lot of your ancestors on these records here because Find My Past is here. But anyone who belongs to Ancestry, MyHeritage, GeneNet, you might find a person who's also a descendant of the same person on these websites. So don't overlook the fact that you might very well find something that you're missing through some of these websites without having to pay for these websites. Like I pay for Ancestry, and of course, but the fact that even though I pay for it, some of the ancestry information can be submitted into Finding and Family Search. That's why they're one of the larger websites. They contract with other companies to do that. My contributions, that's just where you can go through and look at what you've submitted And you see where it says person restored. That's where I added my information on there. I can look at this person as a person and see what information they have on here. They say they have his son, my ancestor, William G. Yates. But you're going to get all kinds of cool. You can look at his pedigree. You could actually fill this in. So you could actually fill in, you know, Samuel's wife's name was, his spouse was Eleanor Wells. And you start putting your data in here. And then once you hit save, it's gonna save it, and then that information will be in there. And so you don't have to buy any software if you don't want to, because it's gonna all be there. Now, what I would not do is I wouldn't put your most current stuff in there. Don't let you put living people in there. Just put people who are deceased and people who are well over 100 years old, or at least 75, that you're going to want to connect with the people, but you also want to like protect the data on, like, I don't put my mother in a lot of records now because she's still living. She's almost 95. But my father is in there because he's deceased, been deceased for 25 years. His information would be on a lot of these websites because he's deceased and he's in there. But my mother, because she's still living, it'll say living, and it won't put much information on there as detailed as you might want, or I can take some of that stuff out just for security reasons. So just bear in mind that you could actually just fill out your pedigree charts on your own, and it'll be in your account. You don't have to worry about paying for a software. You just have it here. It's going to always be available. I can never imagine that Familysearch.org will ever be a paid site or never be available to the public, because it's part of their mission is to let people have free access to information. So your stuff could be out there. You don't have to worry about publishing anything. Just put it out there, the information that and put your sources out there. So that's on pedigree. Let's go back. See, there's so many different little bitty aspects of this. And that's why it's so, oh, by the way, you see in the very top of the screen, I'm just going to hit the word X for the pedigree, and it's going to leave this page. But because I didn't save anything, it didn't say what I just put there. But I just want to show you could actually enter it. You see the little blue lines? You could actually enter data in there. Let's see. Let's go over to, how are we doing on time? Oh, we're getting close to time for the next one.
Yeah, I've got about 8 minutes. And someone did put in the chat that if you do enter information on living people, you'll be the only person who can see that info until you mark them deceased.
Gotcha. All right, you can see what it says. You can actually work on indexing projects. The federal census is going to come up in a few years where we're going to be doing the census. And Missouri was one of the first people to get the census done for the 1940. So we're coming up on pretty close to being doing the 1950 census. So if you want to be a part of an indexer, you can also index some of the records they have. You can find a project. If you like to sit at home and work on projects, you can pick a state or country, and you can actually index records for other people to help find information on their family. Notice it says Bureau of Land Management tract books. We're going to talk about that briefly in my next presentation on the Bureau of Land Management. But they've been indexing some of those tract books that are really cool records. But they've been doing a lot of indexing, which is going to help you find a lot of records on your ancestors. But you see, like that right now, someone's got the Caribbean church records, 1748 to 1979. You could actually be an indexer for that program if you could like read the language that they want and just start putting the data in. Someone else is going to proof you, and someone else is going to proof them to make sure the data is correct, to make sure what you've interpreted on the screen, because sometimes handwritings are hard to see. But you see how the progress of the project. It's just really a fun way to, if you want to do something fun for genealogy. Indexing is it. Plus, it also helps everybody else who wants to see records that will be free to them in the public area. Let's see, memories. This is a place where you can share your memories. Not everything is a picture. It could be a slideshow. It could be making an album. You could actually put your own album in there. Like these pictures here. This is my great grandmother Elizabeth Cox. This is my my Uncle Basil, and then this is my uncle on the other side, Raymond Wayne Rivers. So my cousins have been putting pictures on this side as well. So when someone can go and create an account, they can go look out and see what's on there and see information about a family member. But you can actually, as far as you hit see more, obviously the most cool thing about it is to see pictures of people and see how people in your own family now look like someone that's, but all these people right here are kin to me. Every single person on here is a relative of mine. And actually, the woman who helped me start genealogy is right here, my Aunt Betty Lou. She's the one that got me started 48 years ago. And she's my dad's third oldest sister. View my relationship, it tells me right there. She's my Aunt Betty Lou, my dad's sister Betty. And there's me. See, it says living. And then there's our grandparents. And of course, no one else has entered this information on this part of the website, so it didn't go all the way back. But if you click on this, you can actually go through and do more searching on him and then find out more about who he is. Now, see where it says family members on here? And this goes to every screen within their screen. It'll give you a rundown of who the people are in the family and how they're kin. Like, for instance, this is my grandpa, Francis Lee Dollens, his wife, Elsie Irene, their family, and all their 10 children, and in birth order. So they're all right there. And now the reason Betty Lou's there with the picture is because her granddaughter has been putting stuff in here on her behalf. My stuff's not been put in there because she put in there. We already had a book published, but there's no more. I didn't put it on here, but she had the time to do it. But again, you can see the whole family right here. You can add a person. You can correct something. But if you look on here, it says Francis Lee is the son of Robert Elise Dollens and Louisa Margaret Chick. So then there's their children, and you see Francis Lee is down here, and you see him in the pecking order. And then if you clicked on Louisa Margaret Chick, you can see the sources on her, and it should mention where she's at, and you'll see also other people who have added information on her in the family. So all these things that you can do, you're going to see the source data to prove or disprove whether it's about your ancestor or not. But the cool thing is that you're going to find lots of cool things that you'll never, ever know. But this is the most complete website on genealogy and probably in the world. And it probably will stay that way for a very long time. Because even though Ancestry does a lot of things, Ancestry will never be as big as their networking, because they do lots of things throughout the world in different languages because of the members of their congregations. All right, I'm going to go ahead and leave this website for now and go to because
someone asked if the memories are attached to that person in the tree, and it looks like they are.
Yeah, they are.
Okay.
So like I said, I didn't put that information in there, but I could see it. And then if you just click that person, you just go to memories. Then so Louisa Margaret has not been added in as a picture, but I could certainly update or load a picture of her and put information on there.
That's cool.
Upload a picture, and it'll show you how to upload from your photo files. See, it's going to I can find a photo of her. I can just download it. It would put there, and you can crop it and just put it right there, and then it's attached to her. So it's just a really cool website to manage all of your genealogy. It's going to always be there. If you don't have to worry about publishing anything, everything you have is just go look on Familysearch.org. It's all right there. And you don't have to worry about publishing anything, a book or anything. All right, so I'm going to leave this website, and we're going to go to the Bureau of Land Management, General Land Office, unless someone else has a question about this website. I will tell you that if you need more help on this, you need to call the Family History Library in the Highlands and just leave a message and see if there's anyone there that could help you more. You could call me at the library if I can answer a question quickly for you. I'll be glad to get back to you. I can certainly do that. But don't hesitate to use this website because it's a really cool one, and I think if you don't use it, you're missing out on a whole lot of information. So now we're going to turn over to the next 30 minutes to do on the Bureau of Land Management, General Land Office. And the reason I love this website is because it's basically the website that has all of the records of where the federal government from 1785 had people buy the very first piece of land in any given of the states that they're mentioned. And I want to get back to the main screen here, so let's get back to the reference center. So this is like the main page. So if you just type in blm.glo or glorecords.blm.gov, it'll come up. But if you just type in blm.glo gov, it'll come up anyway. Just click on whatever the Google says for this search, and you will get to this page. but this is actually the home page. But I like to show you what's here so you can kind of get an idea of what you're going to look at. But the things I like to look at today, I'm going to show you are basically looking for the original landowners in a certain area and why it's kind of fun for genealogy and why you might be interested in your ancestry to look for these, because they truly are the first landowners of an area, or they're the recipients of bounty land for their service in the military, whether it's the colonial wars, the what they call the Indian Wars, the War of 1812, Revolutionary War, any of those wars where the federal government decided to give people bounty land because they couldn't pay them a pension. You will see that. I'm going to show you some examples of my own ancestries here in Boone County, but I think you're going to love looking at this. And I think once you look at this, you're going to say, oh, this is really cool, because you can find out where a person is getting their land, or where they ended up and when they came to a certain area from the east to the west. All right, so this is the main page, and this just kind of gives you an overview on it. But you click on a little house, right? See a little house right there? If you click on that house, this tells you the categories. And this is this organization is part of our federal government. It's a branch of the Treasury, and basically the reason it's part of the Treasury is because people had to pay for their land, their cash sale land, through the Treasury. It was a separate office, and they said no, let's pay for the Treasury. But it's not every state in the union that's there. So the land catalog, you see all this right here where it says land catalog? These states that are in blue or light purple are the states where you can look for records. These are the land grant. These are the states that have that were part of the Western expansion, and the federal government sold the original land. So you won't see these patents unless if you buy land, you'll see it as the original land entry and it'll have the president's signature on it, or it'll have the president's name on it with the signature of someone who's signing for him. But these are the actual states that you can actually search this catalog for. But it just includes a lot of people. But let's say your ancestor was from Virginia but never lived in these states. Well, if they served in the Virginia militia, they could have gotten bounty land in these states and sold it, never went there and sold the land to somebody else and got the money for it and spent it on their own property in Virginia or West Virginia or the Carolinas or any of the colonial states. So don't overlook the thing that, well, my ancestors did not live in these states. But if they served in the military, there's a good chance that they got some military land in 1845, 1850, or 1855 through some bounty land acts of Congress. And we'll talk more about that when I show you some examples, because I just actually found in the last 4 or 5 years, my direct ancestor that came here about 1819, he died before his daughter was 1 or 2 years old in 1839. And I found out that he was in the Florida Wars, down with the group from Boone County that went down to fight in Florida with Captain Gentry, whose wife became the postmaster mistress of Columbia. So he was actually part of that group that went down to Florida on that Christmas Day in 1835 from Boone County, and he died shortly thereafter. But I've got information on here where he's in this war, but I'm going to show you some examples. Now, they also have tract books. Now, the tract books, they're just an example of where your land is, and I'm going to show you this real quickly, but not every state is in there. And by the way, when you're searching on this, you see where it says Alabama? If you click on here, only 3 states have tract books done. You remember a while ago we showed where they were actually indexing them. Only 3 states are done. But I just want to give you an example of a name. I was going to type in I'm going to search tract books. Oh, you have to put attachment range. So let's not do that, and let's just pick a county and see if we can. Let's see if we can. Yeah, let's just pick a county. So right there, right there, they're doing the descriptions of each piece of land. But the cool thing is, if you click on the little blue part, you see a big map of the United States overall. Well, if you click on these little maps here, they're going to show you where the pieces of property are in those parts of the country. So it's going to take a few minutes to load. And these are PDF. You can print them out nicely and easily. I just printed out some actual patents a while ago. But as you can tell, the track books are not complete. This is going to take too long, so I'm going to back out of this. Let's go back to my results list. I want to show you some stuff with some names on it. So let's just go back to, if in doubt, go back to the little house. And then let's do the land catalog instead. I don't want to lose time for it spinning around, but I want to show you some examples.
Tim, someone's asked, how do you know which states to search in? So are you looking
Well,
for...
so actually the best thing is to search for a surname in any state. So ignore, just type in a person's name and not a state. If you knew they came and they were the first families that come to a certain area, then you should search there. But here, let's just do an example here. We're just going to go ahead and search for Missouri. Well, actually, let's just do surnames. So let's just do Dollens. So I'm going to hit search patent. I'm going to type in the word Dollens. And right now, here's a Riley Dollens, but now there should have been more entries. I don't know why it's not coming up, but let's just give an example of this record here, because all of them are going to be the same similar format. And you see on this page, there's a Riley Dollens is the person's name on the document. It's a patent. There's patent image right there. So if you click on patent image, you're going to see the actual patent. And this is what you'd see in your abstract of land if you got this from the federal government, or if you went and got your title cleared on the property that you own. But this is going to show the name of the person and when they got it, when they bought it, and what office they bought it from. And again, it just takes a few minutes for it to load, but some very cool documents. Oh, and by the way, if you don't want to print these yourself, you can order them where it says certified copies. But I wouldn't do order certified copies unless you just need certified copies for some reason. But I want to show you this example here because it's going to look like an old-fashioned document with like no easement, but these presents, etc. And I'm sorry it's taking so long, but that's just kind of like the nature of this website. It really takes a while for it to. Oh, and the reason I picked this is a Riley Dollens who went to Alabama in 1860. So you see in the very top while we're doing this, it says the accession number, the document number, the state, and then the issue date. The issue date's when they bought the, problem occurred. How lovely.
It always happens when you're doing a presentation.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So but you can search a surname without a specific state. So if you didn't have Alabama up there.
So on the very bottom, I'm going to scroll down here. It says any state.
Oh, okay.
So most states that has any state in the very top. I'm going to hit the word search patent for all states. So every Dollens that was the original landowner, these are original landowners only now. So this is a list of all the original landowners, that last name of Dollens, and you have to spell the name the same way. They don't have a way of deciding for, name transcription. So like Dollens, you can spell it D-O-L-L-I-N-S, D-O-L-L-E-N-S, D-O-L-E-N-S. It's whatever the way they spelled on the record, they think that's what's going to come up. But let's just give an example of a really cool one. So these are all the Dollenses that were original landowners of the Bureau of Land Management and the General Land Office for these states that I just showed you on that big blue map. And if you look on the very bottom of this page, before I forget, you see we're on page 1. You can click on page 2, you can click on page 3 and get other names. But the reason I wanted to show you this is, see where it says names right here? There's like a P for patent, a W stands for warrant, which is good. And then you actually want to look at those because that's going to actually tell you some information it's not them buying the land, it's a warranty. But I'm going to try to get the one that's going to be beneficial to us. Let's see if I can find one that's got a warranty deed. I'm looking for one, and let's go to the next page. And they're alphabetical by the first name, as you can tell. Oh, come on. Okay. All right. So see this is my ancestor, Richard Dollens, right here. That's a patent. but I want to show you a warranty deed for his brother Jeremiah down here. So if I click on this little blue to the left where it says the accession, this gives me the description of the type of sale this is. So this is a Jeremiah Dollens, Ira Cole, and Edgar Sabin are the people's names are on their account. The land was a script warrant of 1855, and it was purchased March 3rd, 1855. And if you look on the original document, it's going to tell you who the person is that served in the war. And just so happened, Jeremiah Dollens served in Captain Field's company, Virginia Militia. So by looking at this record, I know that my Jeremiah Dollens, who's like a fourth or fifth grade uncle, this is the actual record that we're going to see a while ago, or similar. And it tells you that Jeremiah Dollens received 80 acres for his service as a soldier. He was a corporal for Corporal Captain Field. He's a corporal in Captain Field's company, Virginia Militia, War of 1812. So I know that Jeremiah served in the War of 1812, and he is receiving for his service the west half of the northeast quarter of Section 30 in Township 28, north of Range 5, west in the district lands, subject to sale at La Crosse, Wisconsin, containing 80 acres. Well, Jeremiah never did go pick up that land. He sold it to somebody else who wanted to go to Wisconsin, and he sold it to none other than Ira Cole and and Edgar Sabin. Edgar Sabin is the assignee as after. So Edgar, even though Jeremiah Dollens worked for and received the bounty land claim for his service and never went out west to Wisconsin, Edgar Sabin is the original landowner on this deed. But Jeremiah's mentioned because Jeremiah is the one who earned it. Now, what's funny about this is that Jeremiah's brother Richard, my direct ancestor, he actually left Audrain County, Missouri in 1849 and went up to Wisconsin and claimed his land and lived on it with his daughter, son-in-law, and 2 grandsons before he died in 1857. So he actually did go live on his land. It was in Grant County, Wisconsin, a great, beautiful area full of trees and lush trees, and a really popular area at that time because it was full of ore products that people needed throughout the West. So even though he died young, his family, it helped. I mean, it's just a really good part of the country to live in for that time period because it had all these natural ores that the people needed for, building up the country from kind of like coal, but it wasn't coal. It was like zinc and iron ore. All right, so just to give you an idea, so that's why these are important because your person is getting land for their service. So now we know Jeremiah Dollens is in Captain Field's company, Virginia Militia at War of 1812. Now we can actually go look for records on that company and look for records on Jeremiah there. But I know more information about Jeremiah, but if you didn't know that, you wouldn't know to do that. So that's why these are important to look at. I'm gonna go back to the results list and just always look for whatever's underlined. But that was a patent, but I want to show you another one. Here's where my Richard Dollens, his brother, got his land in Audrain County. But you see on this map where it says a little box is empty here. If you click on this box, it's going to zoom in and show you where that piece of property is within the township on a map. Is that cool or what? You show right there within that township, like right here, that's right there just near Thompson and Centralia. This is the town, this is like the area where my ancestor, Richard Dollens, bought his first tract of land. And if you look right here, it says April 24th, 18 and 20. And then it's a cash, so he's paying for it. If you click on the patent image, it's going to tell me that Richard Dollens of Callaway County, Missouri. So now I know he's in Callaway County, Missouri. He's buying his land at the land office in Palmyra, Missouri. And then it says the date on the property. It says that it's the southwest quarter of the southeast quarter of section in Township 51 of Range 10 West in the district of lands subject to sale at Palmyra, containing 40 acres. So 40 acres was the norm to purchase back then. And you generally just went to the cash office and picked out the land you wanted and you went back and bought it. And then every single thing up till 1832 had the original president's signature on it. Or if after a certain date, they were putting in the secretaries. And if you look at this record, if you hit the word print, I can print this document beautifully on an 8.5 11 piece of paper. I can read it nicer. Just hit the word print. It's going to print. If you have a printer hooked up to your computer, you can print to your heart's content for free because these are government documents made available to you. And your reference over here is the Missouri Land Sales, volume 236, page 53. You can hear the printer in the background. I'm sorry, but I want to show you that the printing does work pretty easily. Now, the cool thing that says related documents, this tells you who else is in that township and range. So you think about it, these are all the neighbors. This is everybody else who came and bought land the same time, the same area. So you can kind of look at the dates they bought their land. Like Phoebe Dollens bought land in 1839, and she's a relative. She's like a sister-in-law to, she's Richard's aunt. William Dollens is Richard's brother. I'm sorry, this is Richard's son of, this is William Dollens' son of Phoebe. William and Phoebe had their own land together. And then the Boswells up here, his wife was a Dollens. So he didn't buy land until 1852, but you get an idea that here's all these families coming in and buying land, and you know they're neighbors. And of course, you see where it says Levi James and William James and then Robert Younger. Well, they were next door neighbors to my Stewart family, who were next door neighbors to my Richard's son, John M. But right there, I can tell you when they bought their land and what it looks like. Now, if it says a P, that stands for it's a patent. So they're actually buying the land themselves in a cash sale. But down here, this George W. Pulis, Elijah Wright, there's a W for warranty. So if I click on that, it's a bounty warrant. So it says here that George W. Pulis is buying the land, but Elijah Wright got it for the Script Act of 1850, and he purchased September 28, 1850. And Elijah Wright, if he was your ancestor, you know he's from the 55th Regiment New York Militia. Once you get that information, you can find more information on and find proof that your ancestors served in a war, and then you could join a heraldry society like the DAR or the SAR, or if there's scholarships available for kids or grandkids that could benefit from being part of those, you might be able to find scholarships. But it's just a really cool way of proving whether a person, and these just got added to this collection like in the last 4 or 5 years. Like 4 or 5 years ago, these records were not here. Now, if you want to see them on a map, again, go down to this little square and click where it says map, and it's going to zero in and show you where that piece of property is on a map. And then you can just kind of like print that out if you want to, or look at it bigger. You hit print. I'm not going to print because it's kind of noisy. But right there, it's 40 acres. And like I said, I just got proof of my ancestor being in the War of 1812, serving out of Kentucky, but he was from Tennessee. And then my other ancestor served the War of 1812 with his brother Jeremiah in the same war. So just some really cool stuff that you're going to want to look at on this website. But again, they have to be the original landowner of that area in order to be on this website. And you can search the whole country. So is there any questions? I mean, I know it's a lot of information, but I think if you play with this, you're gonna say, oh, this is kind of cool.
I had forgotten that a lot of people, they were given land for their service in the military.
Yes, there was 3 acts, 1845, 1850, and 1855. And the other thing is that my ancestor that got land, he was deceased, but his wife got the land in Missouri, but they never came to Missouri. But their grandchildren came and claimed that land and lived on that land. That's why they went to Southwest Missouri. So the descendants actually claimed the land, not just the person who got the land. So what I would do is, if you have an unusual surname of your family, I would type that surname in and see if anything comes up, and just make sure you put any state, any county. And again, the word any state is at the very bottom. Usually it's at the very top of the list, and now any state's at the very bottom. But if the state's not listed there, that means there's no records. That means it's a state that doesn't have this kind of records. So a lot of the 13 colonies are not there, but some parts are. It just kind of depends on what land. And they're still doing tract books. You see, they're only on 3 tract books, and the tract books are basically the survey of the land to get it ready for sale. And it's kind of cool to see, but you couldn't see it because it was taking too long to download. Any other questions y'all might have that I think if you ever look on this, you're gonna enjoy looking at it. I think it's just gonna blow you away.
If you want to unmute and ask a question, you can also type a question in a chat. We did have a question about if you have a handout, and I know you have your handout, your list of your top free websites with some notes about each one. Is it okay if I email that out
Oh,
to the
sure.
folks?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I have a handout that shows you all the websites, the top 10 free websites. Yes. And it's in a format that you can easily see what it is and log into those websites. I don't do a per se handout on these topics, because if you just did a Google search and typed in Bureau of Land Management how to, you would actually get this right here, troubleshooting. There are some how-tos on YouTube that will show you some information about this that some people have already done PowerPoint presentations on, that you'd probably have more fun, but if you need help from me, I'll be glad to help you. Just email me or call me, and I'll be glad to see what I can help you with or what I can find. But there's certainly, you can also contact them. But there are a lot of people who have done presentations on this when they've gone to the larger conferences around the country. Which actually there's one going on right now in Virginia, but it's online because of the pandemic.
So I went ahead and put your email address in the chat.
Sure.
The other thing about handouts is that these sites change so frequently.
Yes.
The locations of things or different tools or different documents, and so the handouts quickly become aged.
Yes. You see where it says subscribe to the General Land Office Record of the Week, so you click on that and you might see what records are popping up each time. I just can't. I mean, to look at these land patents, you're just going to enjoy a whole lot of cool stuff on your ancestry. And I would just go through any state and just type in a surname of a family member that you know, especially an unusual one, and just hit search and see what pops up. Again, these are original landowners, but you're just going to get so many. You're also going to get the land records of people who homesteaded out west. Don't overlook those as well. But you're also going to get the names. You see where it says state right here, and it says county to the right. So in the very middle, it says state. So you get an idea of where they were going to. And then at the very last, it tells you what county the land is in. So don't overlook those. Now you see this Jeremiah, we already showed this Jeremiah Dollens down here. Here's a William Dollens from Minnesota in Washington getting land, and it's a warranty deed. And I think it's because it's the Script Act of 1850. And the land office in Stillwater, which would be Stillwater, Washington County. Let's see what it says. All right, anyone else have any questions about the website or how to use it? If you ever go to that national conferences, they have a booth there, and they just love helping people using the website. But your best bet is just go through all the tabs and just start typing in names of what you're looking for. Now, see, here's William Dollens, another brother of that family, Private and Captain Williams Company, Tennessee Militia, War of 1812. So this William Dollens, Richard's older brother, was already in Tennessee fighting, and then he's getting land in Stillwater, Minnesota Territory, 80 acres. And then he's assigning it to James Stinson. So William never did go to Stillwater, Minnesota. He sold the land to James Stinson, and James Stinson went and claimed the land. But James Stinson paid William Dollens for what was worth. Does that make sense?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, someone just put in the chat that they just found their great grandparents in South Dakota homestead.
Oh, see, cool. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see.
And someone else has a question about the first the family search. What about Find a Grave? Does that work in the same way in terms of joining?
So Find a Grave is actually, if someone submitted Find a Grave onto Familysearch, it'll record it as a picture or as a source. But Find a Grave is a separate website, and Find a Grave is on my 10 top list too.
And they're also wondering that they discovered some inaccuracies about their and unanswered questions within our family. Is there a similar way to make corrections? Do you know?
You can only correct it if you remember.
So if you log
in, become a member, then you can put corrections in there.
Okay.
Now you can actually just put, and you can put the reasons why, like I showed you a while ago, where they deleted my ancestor because they thought it was a duplicate. No, because they had the same name, and I reinstated him, and then I put down that on the note field that Samuel Ford Yates, the grandson, 1887 to 1848, is the grandson of his namesake. He's named for his grandfather, Samuel Ford Yates, 1800 to 1887 or 1880. 6. Yeah, his grandfather died, and he was named for his grandfather, the same name. So, but again, these websites are very cool to look at, and I could spend a whole hour on each of them. But for you, you need to just search your own family and just play with them, and then just discover what you can on each website, and just look for every tab, and just look for anything that's new. And you're going to find a lot more stuff that you never found. Like I said, I can now search for these. I don't know if you know about military service in America, but prior to this, from the Civil War back, you generally served in the area where you came from, and you served in your own group from your own community. Like all the men from, for instance, the Florida War, all the Boone County men went down to Florida in 1835 to serve in the Florida War. There's like 45 men came from Boone County down to the I want to say Okobeachie, but I can't say it right. But it's the Florida Wars, where Richard Gentry died on Christmas Day in 1835, and that whole group was from the same community. And so most people in the military, if you're going to go in the military, who do you trust to be having your back? Your friends, your neighbors, and your relatives who live in the community you're from. And that's how all these militias were started. They were all just, and they formed as a group when they went to the military to fight whoever they were fighting against. But a lot of this land, 1785 is the first year you're going to see the Bureau of Land Management records, because it's the first time that they started selling land west, because they couldn't afford to pay these soldiers for their service. They started giving them bounty land to compensate them, and plus also to get people to go west. And people did go west because they knew they had land for free. If you can get free land, why would all you do is, and then, like, for instance, the person just found their homestead records out west. If you did your homestead, did the paperwork, and did it, and proved that you could build a house and a garden or whatever for 5 years, then you got the land pretty cheap. So yeah, so it's just some really cool stuff on Western expansion of American history to get the world populated, or the country populated, because we have all this land that we had, more money coming into the coffer to pay for the cost of maintaining our government. Any other questions?
I think that's it. People are just asking for the handout, so I'll let everyone know that I've got the email address that you registered with, so I'll just send the handout to that to those email addresses. This is really fun. I just typed in my last name is Williams, which is too common, but I put in my grandmother's name, Sizek, and I just found a relative out in Mesa County, Colorado. I know it's them. I found a patent for them. So it's very exciting. So thank you so much, Tim, for sharing.
I mean, it's just such a cool website that you're just going to love having fun with it. I just, if you don't do dishes or don't do your garden, it's not my fault.
All right. Thank you everyone for attending. We really appreciate it. And thank you, Tim, for sharing your expertise with us once again.